Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. I'm going to do a video tonight on an aspect of the trauma bond and why it may be so difficult to process and get through. There's a term that I'm sure you've probably heard called cognitive dissonance. So with humans, if you have a statement like the sky is red and then a statement of the sky is green and you have those both in your head, you can't process those. Because it's either one or the other. It can't be both at the same time, and so you're kind of like, okay, is this how do I do this? And so, human beings are resilient in that they will come up with ways around the cognitive dissonance so that they can keep, performing their day-to-day duties, say, or something like that. But the cognitive dissonance doesn't go away. It's still there. And so what has been hypothesized with the trauma bond and why it may be so difficult to get through is the exact same experience with the victim of a narcissistic relationship, where they come out of it and in their mind they have this experience, and we'll call this a picture or a model of their ex-partner, the narcissist, love bombing them. And so they have this all these experiences of, oh, the narcissist loves me, they bought me gifts, they are my soulmate, they've made me feel like no one else has in my entire life, and go on and on and on, while simultaneously having, okay, at the end of the relationship, the narcissist ignored me, they belittled me, they took all the things that I told them, my deepest, darkest secrets, and they threw them back in my face. They withheld love, they withheld affection, they insulted me, they spread lies about me behind my back, on and on. And so in the mind of the survivor, they have both of these models or these pictures of the narcissist in their mind at the same time. And just the way our brains are wired, we can't process that. Our brains work logically with either or statements and kind of categorizing, making judgments after things have been sorted in with regard to, okay, this is true, this is false. But so if you say, like, if your brain's looking back, like, oh, well, wasn't the narcissist nice to me back then, when he was or she was love bombing me? Yes, that is a true statement. Okay, wasn't the narcissist just outright abusive and a terror and toxic at the end of the relationship? Yes, that is a true statement. So you have both of these true statements in your mind at the same time, and that is why you get stuck, is because you get in this loop where your brain doesn't know how to process that information and move past it, because it's just caught in this loop of, like, okay, the narcissist loved me more than anyone ever has in my life, the narcissist hates me more than anyone has ever in my life, and kind of just gets stuck, going back and forth between the two. Based upon this, what the recommendation is, as far as now that we know this fact about cognitive dissonance and processing our experiences, and coming out of the relationship with the narcissist, you can start to make factual judgments or factual statements to help kind of correlate and filter out and order those memories and those statements and say, okay, the narcissist used to be a good person. The narcissist is now dangerous, toxic, abusive. That, that narcissist that, you knew back when you first started dating or through the first, 6 months, 9 months of the relationship does no longer exist. That person is gone. And so, again, I mean, if you want to go, the next step with processing that, if having like that distance, including time into how you factor your memories isn't enough, you can go the next step and just say they are different people, and literally say like, okay, that person who I fell in love with and who I felt was in love with me no longer exists. If you want to say like it was an act and tell yourself that it was a mask, that's fine. If you want to just say like that person no longer exists in the narcissist, like their personality, their spirit, their soul has changed over time into this new person. But just either way, come back to the statement of like the narcissist now is toxic, unhealthy, abusive. And again, distance those two apart and say, this is the quote real narcissist. This is the narcissist of here and now. That narcissist in the past may have been real. It may have been a mask. It may have been an act. It may have been, multiple personalities or something like that. But that person is gone and does not exist today. And I think, one of the things that I've recommended in the past with my videos, I call it like the heavy metal, therapy to getting through the trauma bond, is to literally take out a notebook and start writing down the most recent bad memories or bad experiences you've had with your narcissist. And and if you want to go further back and just keep writing down these bad memories, bad experiences and stuff, it'll help you, because then when you start getting in that confused gray state where you're like, oh, I don't know, I have mixed feelings, you can pull out your notebook and say, oh, the narcissist cheated on me. The narcissist tried to get with my best friend. The narcissist spread lies in our friend circle behind my back. The narcissist said that they were doing X, Y, and Z when in fact they were doing something completely different. The narcissist was emotionally abusive. The narcissist was, maybe physically or sexually or, or mentally abusive, or, narcissistic abusive, and manipulated you and played games with you. The list goes on, but just that you are able to have that written down on paper so that whenever you start feeling, oh, I remember the good old days, you're able to pull out that notebook and read, okay, this is what, the narcissist is like here now today. And again, taking this a little bit a step further and getting, a little bit personal. I would actually write that in like, chronological order, if possible, where you would take your most recent negative experience with the narcissist and write that down, and then work your way backwards and say, okay, I found out from my friend yesterday that the narcissist was spreading lies about me behind my back. Or, I found out yesterday that the narcissist was cheating, on me with my, best friend, and stuff like that. And just, and I'm not gonna like name specifics, but I'm saying like I know for me, like me and my, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend are basically zero contact. That said, unfortunately, we do live in the same state, and there are like people on the periphery that still interact with both of us, and so sometimes I will hear stuff about either my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend, and it's often just disturbing and just disgusting. And it shows me that like even though I have had no contact with them for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that their toxicity and malice and deception has not slowed down at all. That if anything, they lie just as much as they did before, if not more. They, are deceptive, to a degree that I could never have expected, or guessed even years ago. That the things that I learn about them make my eyes bug out of my head. And again, this is way after the fact. And so if I were, if I were still in a place where I was, felt in the trauma bond, I would definitely start out my notebook with these things and say, I haven't had any direct contact with my ex-wife in 4 years, but I found out last week that XYZ, that's, is going on, or that, this toxic behavior has been, has amplified, et cetera, and just work your way backwards. And so, and the reason I'm kind of going on with this is just, I know that the trauma bond sucks, and that there's videos about getting through the trauma bond, and, to use the old term, they're weak sauce. I mean, they're bad. I mean, if someone's going through the trauma bond and they're told, oh, just look to the future. And it's like, what the hell? That doesn't help me at all. Your mind's in this like spiraling, loop that you can't get out of. Your feelings keep going back and forth. You don't know, like, what's real, what's not real. You don't, you're confused by everything. Just saying like, oh, just focus on your new life. It's like, no, that doesn't help. As far as like concrete things that you can do that I think will be productive and help. The journal. Write down the negative things that you know about your narcissist, that you've experienced with your narcissist, and if possible, do it in reverse order so that you can see the narcissist is not getting any better. That the narcissist you met, the narcissist that you experienced the love bombing through with, not only is it that person's gone, they're going in the other direction. That's the thing. And again, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you've been in the trenches long enough, you figure this out. But again, no one says it. Narcissists get worse. They don't even stay the same. They get worse. They will never get better. They're not going to like, oh, I've been working on myself and now I'm no longer a narcissist. That really doesn't happen to the vast majority of people that, you and I are dealing with. And so you just have to remember, like, okay, I need to do this, because when you're writing down all these like negative things, you can even see the pattern yourself. It's right there on the paper. My narcissist is getting worse. They were horrible when, as the devalue and discard happened, and then and then we broke up. But even since the breakup, the narcissist has gotten worse, not better. It's like they haven't even like stabilized and just kind of like chilled the hell out. They've actually just kept going down and down and down. It's like they're not going to be, happy until they're, in the mud with the pigs or something. So, anyways, yes, I think that the issue of cognitive dissonance as a factor when dealing with trying to come out of the trauma bond is huge. And I think that having a notebook, journal, whatever, where you can write down and come back to and see all the horrible, toxic, and abusive things that they've done recently and most recently in your interactions with them will help, because then you can kind of beat that into your brain and say, no, this is the narcissist today. This is the narcissist last week, last month, and this is the direction they're going in, and it is not a good direction. They are going to get worse. They are not going to get better. So hopefully this video has been helpful. Thanks.